Well, Coach, you're going up against teams that you've already seen once, you've already beaten once. I guess what's the biggest adjustment that needs to be made going up against a team like Crookston?
Just the transition from playing them here at the Dome to playing them at their place. It's always a little tougher to win on the road. But two teams that we played, coming right out of that Christmas break, so I'm sure that their coaching staffs would say the same thing that I'd say right now is we're playing a lot better basketball than we were 6 weeks ago or whatever that was. I thought we played well that weekend, and won 2 games here, but we beat them both those teams once already, so I'm sure they're kind of excited to have us come back. And we got after Crookston pretty good at our place. They've got a really nice player that didn't play in that game. He had suffered a concussion the game before, so their leading scorer will be back this time when we play him. So a little bit different team with him playing out there. He's a pretty dynamic guard that makes a lot of plays for them. So it'll be a little bit different look from them than it was when we played him at the Dome.
Who is that player?
C.J. Polk's his name. He's kind of a point guard or two guard for them that can score in a lot of ways. Pretty creative with the ball in his hand, pretty quick. Averages about 13.5 points a game. Can shoot it a little bit, but a really good driver. So a nice player overall, and will definitely make them a little bit more difficult for us to guard than they were the first time we played them.
Sure. Chris, going up against a team that you played, and then they beat relatively handedly at home. Does that almost lure you into a sense of security against a team like Crookston?
I think it could, since we already beat them. But I think us staying focused and knowing the game plan, we'll go in and do our job and not worry about the past. The past is in the past, and just focus on what we have to get done now. That's our main goal. So.
Coach, coming out last weekend, do you feel this team? You kept mentioning last month, so it's getting better. The split does that change your opinion at all? How do you feel?
No, I think we played pretty well last weekend. I thought we played a pretty complete game against Concordia, and they're not the top of the league, but they've beat some of the top teams in the league the last 3 weeks. We're the only team to beat them out of their last 4 games, and we played pretty well against them. And then Minnesota State's been ranked on and off throughout the year, one of the top teams in the league. And we really played well defensively that game. We just weren't quite as sharp on the offensive end. We held them in the 60s for most of that game until we had to foul there right at the end, and it was a 2-point game or 4-point game either way for about 34 minutes, and then they made a little bit of run to get ahead by a little bit there at the end. But I thought we played well. We just didn't shoot well. We just didn't execute quite well enough offensively to beat one of the best teams in our league. But definitely not disappointed with the way we played. Definitely disappointed that we lost, and we talked about that after the game. We didn't want to see our home winning streak end at 6. We got it up to 6. We feel like we can beat anybody that we play at home. So disappointed in the loss, but not disappointed with our effort or the way we played. We just feel like we can play a little bit better, and to win 2 on the road this weekend, we will have to play a little bit better. And it's been a challenge for us on the road all year. But this week, at least, we've got a little bit of a shorter week, or shorter travel week for us to go over to Crookston and then to Bemidji. And I think our guys are excited to prove that we can win some more road games and that we can be good away from the Dome as well.
Coach, going up against Bemidji, if memory serves me right, you guys had a late rally in that game, and that was your first NSSC victory, I think, of the year. Got you off the schneid there. What's the biggest thing you learned from that first match with Bemidji that you can apply to this upcoming rematch?
I think Bemidji State's really methodical. They run a whole bunch of different sets, and they'll slow the ball down if they need to run sets and get touches for guys that they need and that are going well for them in any given game. And we got off to a great start in that game, and then they had to come back and eventually took a lead, and we made a run late in that game to win that game. It kind of jump-started us to where we started playing a lot better after that, I think. But they're a good team. They're good in their home court. Pretty solid, pretty balanced team. So, really, obviously the game plan changes a little bit from team to team. But for us right now, we're worried about us and trying to play the best basketball we can, and play more of a complete game like we played last Friday night against Concordia.
Chris, going back to Crookston for just 1 second, how much easier is it to really attack preparation for them this time with a fresh slate, just because they have their star player back and you guys can just, I guess, forget about how you handled them earlier?
Yeah, it's always easier to go in knowing that there's a new player that we have to learn how he plays and the game plan that we have to match up against him, it makes it, I guess, fun because we haven't played against him yet. So going into that game, I think for us as a team, we just have to not really focus on the past, like I already said, and play our game.
Chris, I think we've seen at times throughout the season that, you know, like the Wayne State game sticks out to me as just an example of how tough it is to beat any team on the road, even a team like Wayne that struggled. As you guys prepare for another 2 games on the road, I'm sure there are a number of factors that give you a good chance to win, but what are maybe 1 or 2 that you need to emphasize in particular that give you a good chance to win away from home?
Staying locked in as a team, like Coach Merkin always says, is you just got to stay focused. You know, playing on the road, it could be hard on your body, and just being able to focus and know what you have to do, even if when your body's tired, and mentally be into the game, that will help us win the game. So.
Chris, at this point in the season, you know, you got 4 games left. I know you got a couple of tough losses there early in the year, but has the team grown the way you hoped they would have at this point in the season? And how much room for improvement is there for this team?
There's a lot of room for improvement for our team. I mean, if you look at it, our team is fairly young. Tyler's young. You know, he's only a sophomore. We have Richie, he's young. Steve's young. But as the season has gone, we've grown. I think we've all become closer. We know how to play with each other now, and you can see it on the court as we got the wins against pretty good teams. So.
Matt, do you want to chime in on that as well? I mean, I think it's fair to say the team is taking strides, but how much further do you think this team has before, you know, reaching its ceiling? It seems like there's still some room.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. We can keep getting better, for sure. And I think as we've shown flashes of being really good, really since the start of the year. But we've continued to just show longer and longer stretches of that, and that's allowed us to beat some pretty good teams. And we had the long home win streak, and even this weekend when we dropped a game to a really good team, I thought we played really well in stretches. But those stretches are getting longer and longer. And Chris mentioned that we've got some younger guys in our program that haven't played a ton or are playing in an expanded role than last year. But we also have some older guys like Chris. You know, Chris didn't play last year. He had a redshirt year last year, so you know, and some of our older guys are new to the program as well. So just kind of getting comfortable. And those guys have shown some big games, but that consistency to do it in our league, you've got to do it on back-to-back nights, and you don't always think about, you know, for Chris, this is the first year in his career where he's had to play consistently back-to-back nights. A lot of leagues don't do that. So that's a little bit of adjustment too, mentally and physically. And guys have just kind of, as we got the second semester and have gone about 8 straight weeks of doing that, we're in about, I think 2 weeks left of that 8-week stretch. We've learned how to be successful in that a little bit more, and you're learning a little bit each week. It's a work in progress, and I still think our young guys can get better. I know our older guys can continue to be comfortable and play well, and we've played really well as a team and had some exciting games as a team, and some games we've been great defensively and others we've been great offensively, and we just have to continue to put those together where we have both of those things going for a longer and longer stretch, because we can be good, and we have been good, and we've shown what we can do. It's just that consistency for doing it for 40 minutes, and as we get towards the end of February here, you know, that's the goal. Play the best basketball at that point in time, play your most complete games, and beat the best teams down the stretch. So I think we're on pace to do that. I think we're getting where we need to be. We're still working hard. We're still having fun. We're still getting better, and those are the main things.
How about with 4 games to go, Coach? You know, you look at those brackets a little bit, I'm sure everyone does. You know where you're at. Do you feel this team still has the ability to make a move and slide up, get a higher seed if possible?
Yeah, you know, we've been moving up really consistently since Christmas. When we started off and we lost those 3 straight games by basically at the buzzer, we dug ourselves a hole. And every weekend we've been getting a little bit closer to 2 or 3 teams ahead of us. And even with the split last weekend, there was a few teams ahead of us that lost twice, so we made up some ground. And obviously we've got to worry about us. We've got to win our games. And we've got 2 teams that we've already beat this weekend. It'll be much more difficult to go to their place and beat them both, but if we do that, we'll move up again. And you know, a week from now, I'll probably open up the standings and see where we sit. But right now, looking and wishing and all that stuff doesn't really make any difference. We've got to do what we can do, and when we hit the practice court at 3:30 today, we'll worry about Minot State getting better today.